Hey, what's going on, guys? This is a little bit of a morning broadcast, talking a little bit about a class that I'm headed to this coming, well, next month, August. But we're talking to the Shirt of Steve Fisher from Sentinel Concepts. So, Mr. Shirt, how are you?
I'm doing fine today. How about you, Nick?
Doing fantastic. I got some coffee and I have a gun next to me. Sometimes that's all you can ask for.
I have what's left of a Monster, some of my official sponsor of Camel Snus nicotine to get me going, and a gun somewhere in here.
How you been, buddy?
Good, bro. You?
Yeah, doing well. You've been hitting the road a lot lately, haven't you?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm sitting here right now in Alliance. We just wrapped up another 2-day package on carbine, critical carbine skills, and it was fantastic right until the skies opened up on us yesterday, and the last hour of the class, it was fantastic. It literally poured so much that the range had about 6 inches of water on it in about 10 minutes.
Dang.
It was like the skies just opened straight down, and we just kind of laughed and went, well, what do you do? You shoot in the rain. So it was good. It's a good time.
Nice. Well, is the saying true? If it's not raining, you're not training. Is that a true
No,
saying?
that's stupid. If it's not raining, you're not wet. Whatever idiot said if it's not raining, you're not training was stupid. That's all I'm saying. It's just stupid. No, if it's not raining, you're not
Not
wet.
wet.
That's all that matters.
Oh, Steve, I love you, buddy.
I know, bro.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
It's all facts, dude. Save the tactical fantasy band camp for freaking Call of Duty.
Well, that's a perfect segue here. So August, I think 15th and 16th. I need to 15th and 16th, I believe, or 16th and 17th. Let me bring up my calendar here.
15, 16.
15th and 16th. I will actually be down at the Alliance, Ohio shoot house class, home defense shoot house class with Mr. Steve Fisher, along with Jesse, and I'm trying to talk Casey into coming as well.
Be awesome.
So hopefully we'll have a good time down there. But I wanted to talk to you about the class here because, and it's something that you just hit on right there of the tactical fantasy band camp type of stuff is, and it kind of going back to your quote that I use a lot from the teaser or is I think it was the trailer for the vehicle low light class of, there's no advanced classes. There's just fundamentals. I'm not even saying it as good as you say it, but that's really what the class is about, right? It's not about wearing the plate carriers and all the patches and nods and all this type of stuff, right?
Right, exactly. No, the home defense class, the home shoot house classes were based on a need that needed to be filled. The problem is people always have this plan of what they're going to do or what they feel they're going to do or how they're going to handle certain situations. Everybody always has this typical, it's going to be the glass breaking at 3 o'clock in the morning, or we hear a bump in the house and somebody's in there, and but what it really boils down to is the fact that we not only cover that, we also cover the home invasion, mid-time, daytime problems. Just a whole gamut of things. There's a lot of problem solving more than there is shooting. Like anything else in this, when I first started putting this course together years ago, it was based around that problem solving. It's not this world of, hey, we're doing 2-person, 3-person, 4-person techniques or tactics, based off law enforcement or military action. It's based on you and you only. It's you, yourself, and what you have in your hand at the time when the problem occurs or on your person. And we know from the actual reports, documents, the videos that we've seen from people with closed circuit TVs, it's either one of two things. It's very fast, very violent, or it's more of a stealth kind of thing that happens where these dudes get into a house, they take what they can immediately get, and they get out to the point where some people don't even hear it. They don't even wake up. Or it's just a very outright brutal, vicious attack that occurs and usually results in an exchange of gunfire.
Yeah, that is, I think, the biggest thing, especially from the MDFI shoot house class, and I know you're gonna do the same thing as well. Is this is all mental, right? This is just it's all mental. The shooting aspect is secondary, right? Again, the problem solving, the mental aspect, that's really what we're working on in this class, right?
Absolutely. And then so much from the mental aspect of it. You know, it's you need to get people to think about what they're actually doing, how they're actually working these problems, how they're going to solve that problem if that problem does ever actually occur, which we hope it doesn't, but we have to prepare you in case if it does, in case that it does. And the mental game behind it is truthfully really easy. Too many people overthink it. They try to overcomplicate it. You know, I've been to some other places, other classes and stuff over the years that have involved shoot house stuff and problem solving. I also teach for another instructor, Pat Rogers at EAG, with his actual shoot house classes. And the whole thing that people get into is this mindset of either A, they're going to go really, really fast, or they're going to go rush their kid's room and barricade their kid's room, and they're going to, you know, they have this whole, I guess, make-believe fantasy of how this thing is going to go down without ever actually doing the walkthroughs, thinking it through, or getting different perspectives. And playing the mental game is good, but you have to have a solid base of how to do the mental game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You've got to have some practical behind it before you can really, truthfully apply it. I mean, frankly, a lot of times in a daytime home invasion, it's nothing more than the same thing as an attack on you in the street. It's just occurring inside that container in your own residence. It's just a very vicious, brutal, fast-flowing, occurring incident.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of talks about that in the class. We're going to have a lot of good go-overs.
Yeah. So real quick, let's jump to the actual class here. And again, if there's anyone out there watching that can join the class, please let me know. I would love to hang out with some fellow listeners or watchers. So somebody out there that might be looking at this class, for example, and again, if you think you have to be high speed or any of that stuff, you know, chuck it out the window. If you have your fundamentals down, you know, then we can talk. But what, you know, if someone hasn't trained with you but has some training with other classes, what should they look for, and do they need to email you to kind of get that approved before coming into this class, or how does that work for someone that hasn't trained with you but may want to get into this class?
I've had people come into this class from various other programs, and it's really not a problem. As long as you have a good baseline of fundamentals, your gun handling skills are up to speed. You know, you don't have to be the greatest shooter in the world. You just have to be safe. You have to be able to get the gun out of the holster efficiently, or know how to manipulate your long gun efficiently, whichever one you're bringing to the class. To me, it's pretty much you're going to learn while you're there. As long as you're safe and you've got relatively good gun handling skills, it's not a problem.
Okay, so let's go to the class here. So I'm gonna read just a little blip from your website here. Live fire shoot house course with heavy emphasis on home defense, includes a night of low light to no light shooting.
Mm-hmm.
That low light, I got to make sure to talk about that because we actually talked about that the first time you were on the show. 360 degrees there. This is not a shooting program, but a decision-making or problem-solving course. Shooters must have and bring body armor, hard armor for long guns capable of stopping their caliber of choice, ballistic rated helmet. Ammo requirements is about $300, and students must supply their own flashlights, glow sticks. That's pretty much about it. Any other gear that you might recommend for this?
You know, the general loadout that you'd normally bring to a class. The Alliance facility is very capable range. You know, we've got a good overhang, good classroom. As far as that goes, you know, pop-up canopy never hurts in case people want their own little personal space and they just want to be antisocial and not hang out with everybody, which is wrong. You know, the usual loadout that's in the class descriptions, you know, food, water, you know, appropriate clothing, shoes, footwear, stuff like that. You know, no shorts, no wife beater shirts, shorts, you know, flip-flops in the house, that kind of thing. I had a guy this year who showed up with that, and it was awesome. The first time he had rocks in his toes, it was great. They're like, oh, dude. And trust me, I'm not anti-flip-flop. I love them. I wear them all the time. Other than that, you know, good set of eye and ear pro. The thing with the armor is it's a requirement for the liability with the insurance of the house. Just like anything else. We have sets of loaner armor. We have sets of loaner helmets that are for, you know, those that choose to bring long guns. Handgun, we have 5-6 sets of loaner soft armor as well that I have, and no helmets are required with the handgun.
Okay.
Not a big deal. That will change next year's 2016 schedule that I had announced on the website. Next year, I'm going to do 2 total full live fire package shoot houses. The other 3, I believe, on the schedule that are going to be on the schedule are all going to be UTM only.
Awesome.
So there's going to be no requirements for armor or helmets for those. Um, it's going to be the same class basically, but with the use of UTM, it's easier on the shooters, it's easier on the house, it's easier on everybody all around, and it's more practical because people don't wear that garbage.
Yeah, that's
So
very true.
it's like, again, I just keep driving further and further away from the fantasy band camp realm, and I'm trying to draw in more people that want to learn these kind of things, but are usually intimidated by the fact, well, I've got to wear a helmet, I've got to wear armor, I don't have all this stuff. It's a cost. Well, that's why I went out and I bought, 5 sets of hard armor, 5 sets of soft armor, and have all these things for people to use, which most guys already have some of this stuff for those that are living in that world. But in general, most people don't, and I want them to come to that class and to learn more than I want them to be worried about the equipment issues. So having the stuff there available for people to wear is great and use, but next year that's all out the window. So except for 2 that I will be doing, and the 2 live fire ones will actually just focus strictly on 2-person techniques.
Okay. I think that's going to be awesome. And then obviously if you do that, that sounds like you could almost do some force on force stuff too. I don't know.
I've been doing force on force stuff for so long, and I enjoy it. I love it. Not only have I been the meat puppet for a long time for a lot of other programs, and have eaten a lot of Sims and UTM over the years. Oh God! But there will be a little bit of force on force with it in 1 or 2 some of the scenarios that will play out like on day 2 of the program and during the night shoots, just to kind of reinforce it. And it's going to be actually really good, really relevant. And if everybody does everything well, they're going to succeed. And the role players are highly trained that I'll have, and it's just going to work out really, really well. I'm actually excited about it. So it's going to be a great change, and it's going to open up the doors to a lot more people to come into it and to be able to get that kind of training that they actually need.
Well, and that's the thing I want to hit on too is the home defense shoot house classes are what I tell people is if you have a gun in the house, this is the class that you work to.
Yeah.
I mean, from my class, and it changes the way everything, and I mentioned it before of I'm really trying to work on getting my wife spun up and actually getting my wife into one of these. For me, like I see the biggest value if I can get my wife into a class like your home defense shoot house class. The preparation for if a bad thing happened just went from, just 1 man versus 2 people being actually somewhat prepared for something like this to happen. To me, it doesn't like flip the table and give us this massive advantage. But man, it really seems like it would even out the playing field a little bit.
Oh no, it does flip the table, dude. It does. Absolute force multiplier. Anytime you can have 4 sets of, 4 eyes, 4 ears, 2 guns, 2 lights, anything else in that matter, it's definitely a force multiplier. It's a 100% increase over just you alone. And that's the biggest problem. I had a conversation with some friends the other day. We were having this talk about it, and it actually came up on one of the closed Facebook forum groups. We were talking about this and about, there's this increasing number of women getting their, concealed carry licenses and things of this nature. And people were spouting off, oh, that's great, it's awesome, it's so good, and all this other, anyway. I'm like, why aren't they coming to classes? Why aren't you bringing them to classes? Why aren't you sending them to a class? If this is such a great thing and they're so serious about it, it's not just here. Women are most likely to be the ones either to be targeted because they're perceived as soft targets, easier, just an easier attack, so to speak, less resistance. And that's not the case, as we know, as they're starting to get more and more training. But people need to get this. They need these husbands, fathers, brothers, boyfriends, whatever the case may be, need to get their spouses and significant others into these classes. Women are most likely the ones to be targeted. They're often the ones that are out with the kids. They're the ones most often home with the kids, or at home, or at work alone, working late hours, leaving in the dark. Whatever the situation case may be. They are the ones most likely to need this more than we do, to be honest. I don't get targeted as easy. Obviously, size-wise, the way I carry myself, demeanor, so forth and so on. It's not downplaying the fact that men are often targeted or threatened. I don't wear skinny jeans and look like a hipster, so that's usually not an issue for me. But people need to understand, especially the men, that they need to get their other half or their family members into these packages, into these classes. And it's often an intimidation factor. You look at the videos that are out there of women that are home during daytime home invasions. I mean, there's an absolutely brutal video of one, I think that came out of New Jersey.
Yep. I know the exact one you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, man, dude, that if that is not the poster case for getting someone that you are actually concerned about and care about and your loved ones, that is definitely a reason to get them into this kind of class. And that's why the change of the program next year into UTM, because it's not loud, it's not noisy, it's not scary, it's not armor, it's not helmets. It's just learning. And that's what it's about. And it's about preparing them to handle that situation when it does occur, and it will occur.
Yeah. I mean, statistics, and I mean, even too, there's, I think, I want to say the newest stats are there's a break-in every 16 seconds, 6 seconds. It has a 6 in it. I know that, but it
could be 6, 60, 16. Yeah.
It happens. It happens. And sometimes I don't know if I mentioned this story on air or not. This would have been a couple years ago, but what a neighbor, she was downstairs doing laundry, came upstairs, and there's just the guy in her house.
Yeah.
Nothing violent happened out of it, but it could have.
Could have gone really bad really fast.
Yeah. But no, I think you hit it right. Women are the kids. They're all usually with the kids at public places, going to school, going to the mall, going to, parks and, all this type of stuff that not only are they targeted, but yeah, more than likely they're in that movie theaters, for example. That's where they go. You are 100% correct there.
Yeah. The whole evolution of the program has come back to the whole thing that I've put together, and I know we've talked about it kind of before, but that whole containers and zones kind of thing. You mentioned it, it's where they're at, parking lots, big structures, theaters, in the home, in their vehicles, and rounding out all of those skill sets is probably the most critical thing that they can get. Guys, men or women, it's an absolute must. They need to learn to work in all the different environments and how to prepare for those environments.
Yeah. Something I want to hit on too would be a lot of people take like the entry level stuff, and then when you get to classes like this or classes higher up in the structure, that seems to drop off a little bit. And they can't stress enough of, this is the class you really want to be in. This is where the learning occurs. This is where you can really, mentally test yourself, because
exactly.
I can tell you when you cram all information. I remember times just being there like just waiting for my brain to catch up and going through another class again. And the way you teach it too is, I feel like I'm a little more prepared for it, but the amount of learning that goes on in a class like this, it's something that I can't imagine now having an issue in a home defense class and not knowing what I know. If something happened in my home, I am so far more prepared mentally, not even including all of the, ways to, clear hallways and pry doors, et cetera, how to enter rooms, not even ignoring that, just the mental aspect, I think far out prepares me than what I was before.
Sure. No, absolutely. And that's the important part about going to these things. Touching on that, people get too wrapped around the axles about this whole clearing thing. And absolute reality, you're not clearing a damn thing. Okay, you're moving through a structure looking for something or somebody that's not supposed to be there. You're not clearing anything. The language gets so caught up in a lot of this inertia type thing, but you're not clearing a thing. You're going basically from a room to a room or a room to a hallway, and that's about it, realistically. You're not clearing anything. You're basically looking to run into somebody that isn't supposed to be there. That's pretty much what it is. This isn't a 8-man team flowing through a house and actually clearing a structure, which takes hours and hours and hours of work. To clear even a residential 1,500 square foot home takes forever to do it properly. This is basically looking for that threat, and it's not really even necessarily looking for it because there's different inputs that you have. There's going to be audible inputs. There's going to be other clues that you have. There's going to be, audible, visual, and those are really kind of the key things that we start touching on during this program. But going back to one thing you mentioned, about people in training, getting into these classes, a lot of people go to these classes, they get into a class that they're comfortable with, they stay in that comfort zone, and they never want to reach out of it. And that's kind of an ego. It really is. It's kind of something like, well, I'm going to go here, or they just keep going to the same classes over and over and over and over again for practice. They don't really do it on their own time. They'd rather go somewhere and have it structured to them or for them and something that they already know. And that's great. At least they're getting some form of practice. But they need to branch out into the things that they don't know, that they don't understand, that they're getting a false sense of security with in the same things they just keep doing over and over and over and over again. Granted, I have a good core of students that I see often. And it's great, and they come to a lot of different classes. Every class I teach is different. There's a baseline set of standards and typical exercises that we do. But after that, it changes based on the needs of the students. It's their class. It's not mine. I'm there to teach you. I'm there to give you things you need to learn. And that's what I do. I poll the students in the class. I ask them, what is this for? What is this application about? What are you doing for this? Why do you need this? And then, okay, what do you guys need to work on? I will literally ask the class the first, 5 minutes of class after intros, what do you feel is the things you need to work on the most? And then I'll start tailoring the class around that. I have a set guideline. After that, it's out the window because I need to do everything based on what their needs and wants are, not mine. I know what I need to practice. I know what I practice. I know what I go to teach and learn, go to classes and learn about. But I need to get the students to tell me what their biggest deficiencies are that they need to learn. That's what I'm after.
Okay. Well, so I'll tell you what I need to work on too is IDing targets. Got to. Well, I thought it was easy too till I smoked everyone.
Well, and again, that comes back to square range fantasy band camp training because it's always preparing for the same consistent shoot target, shoot target, shoot target. And if there's no target discrimination, there's a problem.
Yeah. Well, and somebody you mentioned too is Tatiana's targets, IDTS, are fantastic targets.
Yes.
That was actually a really big when you can actually see a target fall.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of brings it home a little bit more. I know it's not real and it's all that stuff, but when you can actually see a target fall, I don't know, it changes, it mixes it up a little bit. At least gives it the more as most realistic as you can get there. But for those that looking for her targets, please check them out. I have a video on it too. But so I want to talk a little bit more about the class area because I love the way that you mentioned it's about the students.
Mm-hmm.
So in a class like this, should students show up? And I mean, how big is honesty in these type of classes? For what what you say you show up for, that's one part too. But should it also, the gear wise, you should also be honest in this class, right? So whatever it is that you wake up in the middle of the night or you carry or you have on you at home, that's what you need to bring to this class, right?
Absolutely. If you're the person who's got their M4 carbine sitting there by the nightstand or by the bed or locked up in your vault or whatever it is you have at night, however your gear is set, that's what you should have. If you're the person who has a Glock 19 with a weapons light on it sitting on the nightstand, great. If you're that person who's got a 12 gauge sitting there, fine. I don't care. Bring what you normally have or bring what you normally would carry. Because it can happen to us, just like as we're sitting here, in your own home. What you have on you is what you have at the time and when you need it. It's bring what's practical to you and what you really need and what you use and what you carry.
Okay.
I've shot the shoot house with an M&P shield before, with a handheld light. I mean, I carry that a lot. Glock 43 with a handheld light. I carry that often. As it gets, to be 95 degrees out, I still carry a full-size 1911 most of the time. But that does change, and we know that. We're gun guys. We're gun junkies. We've got a whole closet full of guns and gear that we like to play with, but bring what you normally have with you or have available to you at that time.
Now, here's going to be an honesty question. Do you have a house just for your guns?
I have a section of the house for my guns. Yes, I do. I have a section.
I was editing the podcast and I got to the part where Jeff was like, "You probably have more guns than I actually have five, or more ARs than I actually have 5.56 rounds."
I do have a pretty good collection of toys. I'm not going to kid you. I absolutely do.
That's a great show. So I'm working on editing that. That one's going to take a little while.
That was awesome. But when we talk about the whole thing about the house and the honesty and being relevant, and you brought up the target identification, and it comes back to what you said there. That just reminded me when you were talking about that with me and Jeff when we were on, and it really comes down to this. And the quote kind of got turned around and spun around a little bit over some time, but looked at it and it's basically never move faster than your ability to make a life or death decision. And that's what positive threat ID is about.
Yeah. No, that's 100% correct. I mean, that because here's the thing, if you don't do that, but you suck at it, is it going to, I mean, honestly, is it going to make me question a decision and or stall on a decision that needs to be made? Honestly, for me at home, if I'm like, okay, I got to make sure that if there's a bad guy, that I make sure it's a bad guy. Am I going to come and then do something too slow, or to where okay, I should have shot him way quicker than that? Something like that is that's actually one of my concerns, honestly, right now, until I really get that IDing down.
That's a processing speed. A good friend of mine once told me, and the dude is phenomenal, just an amazing individual that I worked with, that I had the absolute pleasure of working with over the past couple of years, and who lives CQB. And he basically told me 95 plus% of the people in the world are too stupid to do it because they cannot process information quickly enough. And that kind of hit home. It really did. And when him and I would do workups and stuff and go through houses together, and that, I'm lucky enough to have good processing abilities. People tend to move too fast, and this is the whole breakdown. This is the breakdown, and I'm going to drop some serious logic knowledge bombs right now about this. Slow down. That's it. You can't go faster than what you can process that information. And seeing it before it occurs or seeing it sooner, and that allows you more time to deal with the problem and make those decisions. It's really simple, but people have a tendency to get too wound up, and this is the biggest part of it right here that people need to understand. The emotional input that you give to yourself in the gun. That dictates everything. If your emotions are out of control, or you're too ramped up, or you're too hyped up, you're too, that chemical cocktail is a hard thing to control. It really is. And we can control that through training and through exercises, especially force on force. But understand the fact that, yeah, I could get shot. I could fail. I could, miss ID a target. I could potentially kill another human being that may or may not need it. All those things are emotions. But controlling the emotions that you have at that time are the key. Once you get over the fact of being shot, stabbed, beaten, punched, or failing, to quote, the better off you're going to be. Be in control of the emotions. You will do absolutely fine. Well, and the best way to practice would be coming to a home defense shoot house class, maybe on August 15th and 16th with you at Alliance, Ohio, right? Yay. It's going to be an awesome time. I'm telling you, we're going to learn a lot. I can get done everything I need to do to give people a great baseline foundation for this, to be able to apply everything they have in their own homes, with about a total in 2 days, day and a half of class, about 14 runs total at a max. People, I've seen it, I've been in the classes, and I've been in a lot of programs over the years where we will do, 15 runs a day, call it, or, whatever it is, and you see people mentally break down after about 6 runs because they're trying to process so much information and they're trying to get so many more runs in because, let's admit it, it's fun. Anytime you get to go into a house or structure stuff, it is a great time. It's absolutely awesome. But being able to break it down just like any adult learning, where you go to, let's say, a high round count class where you're shooting 1,000 rounds a day, people stop learning generally at about 350 to 400 rounds. In classes like this, it's the same thing. Generally, after about 5 to X number of runs, depending on the groups or the individuals that you're teaching, because everybody processes things and has different abilities and skill sets. But the mental overload that happens then translates into physical overload. It starts becoming that mental breakdown. They get so mentally tired that their body starts becoming physically breaking down and getting tired as well. And then our performance lags. And when that performance starts to break down, well, guess what else? Everything else goes out the window. You need to keep people at a certain level and pace to where they can sit, recoup, relax, take their notes down, mentally decompress, and then prep them for the next series of runs. So that's important, and it really drives home the point that I don't need to overload you, but I need to give you just enough to think about, and then to allow you to come back down, get your mind clear for the next one, so you're able to think through things. Because if I'm just throwing you into a grinder, you're not going to be able to process that information. It's just going to confuse you and break you down even more. Yeah. And that's not what this is about. It's about learning.
Well, and again, it kind of really brings us back there would be, you can go in and blaze to 1,000 rounds a day in a shoot house class. But that's not learning, right? I mean, shooting bullets is not learning.
No, it's not. No, shooting is just shooting. That's the easiest part of anything you will ever do is shooting the gun. Shooting the gun is so stupidly easy, it's not even funny. And it's what you do in between the shooting that matters. It's what you do prior to it and, the before and afters. The shooting part, that's all easy. Anybody can pick up a gun, press a trigger, and come out of this thing just fine. But getting the mental game down and taking the notes and preparing yourself to take these things away and then apply them in your own residence or other structures, that's what really counts.
I need to mention, too, because there's some people out in chat, and so a link to the class that I'm going to be taking, the Home Defense Shoot House class, is linked there. I also linked up Steve's next class, a handgun class in, I believe it's a critical handgun. I don't have it.
I think we're doing the Sentinel one in West Virginia.
Yeah, the essential handgun in West Virginia. That is linked there. Scott, who was on the last couple shows, is going to that class, and then of course I put links to all the classes down below as well, so you guys can check that out right there.
Oh, that's right. The ninjas come into class.
Yes, in West Virginia.
I cannot wait to break his heart.
No, he was trying to get me out there, but I'm still recouping from a lot of money spent on lobster on vacation. So I don't think I would be able to swing that one, but you never know. We'll see what the wife lets me do. Okay, so low light. I have to talk about this because the first time you were on, we talked about that. Mm-hmm. And so it's coming around a little bit. So my little experience with low light was really mind blowing, just in regards of not necessarily like what you think before it, and then what you know after it is two different things. But we had a question out in the chat here for you of and this kind of brings up a Facebook group thing that we were in before. But what are your thoughts on the brightness of light in home defense? Is there too much light? And I'm sure do you what I guess maybe if you can talk about it, what low light stuff do you cover in the class?
Cover a lot of low light as far as manipulations of the light, when the light goes on, when the light goes off, those particular things. We go through a lot of that. How much light is enough light? How much light is not enough light? There's so much of that out there. It's ridiculous, and there's as much controversy on lights as there are lights in the industry. All right, but personally, no, I don't think there is such a thing as not having enough light. you take into consideration that the amount of light that you needed to see in the darkness from the time you were age 14 to the time you're age 45 is about 4 to 5 times more than what was required. So as you get older, as these things start to go bad, you need more. That's a fact. It's known. It's documented. The studies are out there. The cases are there. How big is the structure? How big is your house? How dark is your house? All those things. Everyone's like, "Oh, the walls are white. I'll blind myself." You're not going to blind yourself. And why are you painting the walls with the light, stupid? The bad guy isn't hanging on a white wall where the picture is. They're in the dark spaces, not the wall.
The gun goes where you look while you're looking at a wall.
Yeah, pretty much. If you're looking at a wall, you're looking wrong, and you're probably just So,
but I'm assuming that's covered in the class, right? I mean, that's
absolutely. The thing is this: I've taught in probably 5-6 different shoot houses over the years. The one in Alliance it's very dark. It's railroad ties. It's black walls. It's dark. Okay, well, the night monster's out there. It's just a fact, but there is ambient lighting as well. There are times when, truthfully, I could get away with 200 to 300 lumen lights in most residential structures. There's small spaces, small rooms, small halls. Not a problem with that at all. The beam, what your throw is, the hot spot of the light, the corona, the secondary and tertiary rings, the lighting, a lot of those things come into play, and it's also what you see in the transition zones with that light. If you have let's say, a 12-yard long shot in your house, which is kind of an average, maybe corner to corner, or the width of a house from a long hallway going into another room, I need to have identification not only at the end of that beam, but I need to have good identification in the middle as well, because what if the doors open to one of the rooms that are in between A and B because the kids woke up and heard the noise and they come squirting up between you and them? What if it's the bad guys between you and the kids or a loved one and they're at the other end of the hall? The fact is, what ifs don't have answers. They're just thoughts that are played out in scenarios. But when you look at it, now we take into consideration, well, okay, cool, I've got my Glock 19 that I carry all the time with a 250 lumen, 200 lumen light on it, and that's my home defense setup, whatever. Great. Now, how about when you're in that movie theater? Now it's a 40-yard shot or 50 yards. And it's dark. And there's things going on around you, and there's a lot of people in between you and the bad guys. What if it's in that Walmart, or where if it's in, wherever land, I don't care. I need to have the maximum efficiency and capability to handle all the situations that may present themselves. And for me, my handgun's minimum, it's a 500 lumen light on my handgun. On my carbines and long guns, it's a minimum of 500 to 600 lumen lights. For my outdoor engagement guns, stuff like that I usually have with me, sometimes it's a 308 rifle. Well, the light has to be as capable as the gun and the shooter's ability. Hey, if you're a 10-yard and in shooter all the time, hey, awesome, dude, 200 lumens will do great for you. But the bare bones minimum standard, I feel, should be about 300 lumens is about the baseline.
Okay. Well, while we're talking about it, because you mentioned it of Alliance, so I haven't been down there. Can you tell us a little bit about Alliance and the facility down there and what they offer?
For the amount of actual law enforcement agencies that allow open enrollment classes at their facilities, which is like 2, maybe 3 that I know of. I'm sure there's more, but I've never been to them and I haven't heard of it. Alliance is a great facility. We've got a 300-yard range there, a 50, 60-yard square bay as well, a 8,000 square foot shoot house, full modern restrooms, full loaded out, humidity controlled, climate controlled, armory. There's a armor gunsmith on standby within a 5-minute drive of the facility if something goes down, with enough spare parts to get anything up and running again. There's about $30,000 worth of tac strike steel on that range. It's absolutely one of the most usable range facilities that I have been on in years, and they treat you like home. They really do. All they ask is the same common courtesy as it would be if you were in your own house. The place is absolutely fantastic, and Joe Wire and Chief Griffins do an amazing job with it. It's just fantastic.
Nice. It's going to be a good time down there. But I'm going to wrap up talking about the class here. And again, if there's anybody out there, again, the links are down below. If you can join us, I see Mr. Adam Peeney is in the chat and will be joining us down at the class. But if anybody out there, again, if you can come to this class, please join us. I know that there's actually only a few spots left, I think.
Yeah, I think we're looking. There might be about 5 or 6 open slots left. I'll have to double check it. I keep these classes relatively small because it minimizes the amount of downtime. It keeps a good steady pace with the class. I think I'm capping it at like 10, maybe 12 at the most. And generally I try to cap these ones at about 10 students. It's about the education portion, the learning of it. I don't need, a 20-person 2 relay kind of line thing going like I do with a square range class. This is a lot more, I guess I won't say more important, but it is more important realistically now I think about it, to have a smaller group, smaller class sizes, so more learning does happen. Because there's a lot of talk time, there's a lot of walkthroughs, there's a lot of just information that gets put out. So it's have a good notebook handy, bring a good pen, pencil, crayons, I don't care, whatever it is you need. There's a lot of note taking, there'll be a lot of thought and a lot of process that goes into what happens and the whys behind it. So,
okay. Well, I'm going to wrap it up, but I want to give the opportunity to talk about anything that maybe we missed in the class or didn't cover, or if you want to leave anybody with anything about the class, or you can just say anything you want to. So
anything I want. I miss Jeff Bludman. I really do. I miss Jeff. We need Jeff on the show more because. Yeah, Jeff is phenomenal. No, it's just going to be a great class. We're going to have a good time. There's going to be a lot of learning that goes on. It's going to be very relevant, very pertinent information. This isn't storming, somewhere doing hostage rescue, CQB stuff. This is flat out home defense. You're going to be laying on a bed. You're going to get up. You're going to grab your gun. You're going to get through the structure. You're going to get where you need to do. And that's going to be about it. I mean, it's relevant and it's real to what people have inside their own homes.
Thinking about it, maybe I'll bring the Cerakoted stippled Sigma. Maybe.
I don't even know what that is, dude. I don't even. I'll tell you.
Don't want to know.
You may be surprised. I may be shooting it with a J frame. So it's just one of those things. If that's what you've got, that's what you bring, and it's awesome. I don't care what people bring. They want to bring a revolver, bring a revolver. You want to bring a shotgun, bring a shotgun. You want to bring a rifle, bring a rifle. I don't care.
Yeah, no, I'll bring my everyday carry gun, but that would be hilarious just for the one photo to see some guy running a shoot. Be like, is that a Sigma? Is that a Sigma?
You're going to see me. I will probably even have, I know Allison, Trucks Better Have. She shot the house with a Glock 42. That's what she carries. That's phenomenal. That's the way it should be. That's the gun she's comfortable with. That's what she has. That's what she uses. But oh my God, it only holds 6 or 7 rounds. Who cares? Those 6 or 7 rounds are still 6 or 7 life-saving rounds if you're accurate enough with them. It's not about capacity. It's not about caliber. It's about your mental abilities and your physical capabilities with what you have on hand. That's
great. Okay, now I want to make sure I ask about that. If let's say, so majority of the time I carry my Glock 17. Yeah. There are, of course, certain situations or places I go where, I need to carry the 42.
Sure.
Should I bring the 42 and do a run with that?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Maximum efficiency. Absolutely. I mean, when you think about it, if that's what you carry sometimes, why not train with it as well? Train with it for the worst case possibilities. I did a segment on Trigger Time TV this year where I was shooting a Glock 42 on camera, working some targets over, and then just impromptu, I transitioned to a steel plate that was at 50 yards, pulled up, fired the first shot out of it, boom, hit. It's just sights and triggers.
It's just sights and triggers. That is.
Anybody who tells you anything different, they're lying.
Yeah. Accuracy is, and again, I've talked to you about this because, in Facebook or whatever about, working through some trigger stuff, but, it's all about accuracy. Like when you talked about with the the theater thing. I'm sorry, I'm eventually going to end this here, and we might be doing another video talking about his 2016 schedule for those that are watching. But I was talking to a listener, and they were talking about, if you okay, I'm gonna go somewhere here, and it'd be interesting to your thoughts on that. So he mentioned to me, he's like, okay, now that you've taken training and you did all the stuff to your gun, he's like, would you still do all the stuff to your gun before the training? And I said, that's a hard one to answer because I can see the positives and negatives of both sides of the gun. And I said, honestly, I probably still would. And I said, look at recent events of the theater shooting, for example. And I said, I hate to do the, well, if I was there type of thing, because you can't do that. But for example, if something like was that to happen, or if I was there and I needed to, if there was, a certain time and space to where I could take it could be a 30-yard shot. It could be theaters, man, if you go to big ones, you're talking easily 100 yards. It would a stock Glock be set up for success for a 50, 75, 100-yard shot? You could do it, no problem. But with the way my gun is set up now, does it give me a better chance to do that shot? Yes. But I would like to get your thoughts on that. Because and I can see the positive. Because if you can run a stock Glock, guess what? You can run the hell out of a customized, modded, whatever you want to call it, Glock. But I can also see the advantage of to where if it sets you up for a better chance, I would take the better chance.
Anything that involves making life-taking decisions, any advantage you can get is a benefit. Hands down. If it means a light, if it means a more accurate barrel. If your abilities with a stock Glock are, 3-inch groups at 25 yards, and you can ring out, and suck that down even tighter and minimize errant rounds, based on maybe a little sloppier sight picture, stress, one-handed operation of the gun, absolutely. Why wouldn't you take advantage of the technology that's there? Having a red dot on the gun. If it's an advantage to you because your eyesight's going or you wear transition-type lenses, we've all seen that dude at the range who's like, trying to find the right focal plane through his glasses or their glasses or what have you. Absolutely. Why wouldn't you take advantage of having a light or a better barrel or a better trigger or, an optic? Why wouldn't you? Absolutely. Anything that increases your survivability and the survivability of others, yes.
Okay, that answers it right there. But you will be better at doing that with training.
Proper training, proper practice, absolutely.
And yeah, it really goes back to the accuracy part. Like that is the biggest thing to me. I mentioned before, I'm actually going to sell some guns, do more training. It's been accuracy though. It's great. I used to try to get my draw under, get a draw and shoot a target under a second, work all these fundamentals like that. When in fact, you know what? I literally, it's why it's cool and it's important. And if you can do that, great. I am so back to focusing on accuracy.
First round hits win it. It doesn't matter if it's a first round hit at under a second or if it's a first round hit at 2 seconds. The thing is, it's a first round hit, and again, it comes back to the ability to see things happening before they happen, and being in emotional control. Because we know that realistically, we may see it happen. We may see it occurring before it actually really does. We may see those indicators, those pre-attack indicators that cue us in on something and say, hey, you know what, this is going to go bad. I'm going to get this gun out kind of covertly at this point in time, kind of get it ready. Okay, yep, no big deal, put it away. Maybe it was nothing. But if the hairs on your neck are standing up and you're getting that feeling, it's probably, it's probably true. And the whole hits and the speed and accuracy is fantastic because obviously the faster and more accurate you are, the better your chances are. But taking somebody who has the ability to spend the time, ammunition, money in the range to become a performance shooter like that, phenomenal. Take a person who is the 35-year-old, single mother, or the married housewife with the 3 kids who gets to go to the range maybe once every couple of months or twice a year or 3 times a year. You're not going to turn them into a sub-1 second draw shooter. You're not. Now take into consideration they may have kids in the arms. You may have kids in the arms. It could be somebody who's, the 40-year-old male, not in the best shape in the world, myself included on that, with injuries. How are you going to turn that person who's had 4 rotator cuff surgeries into, whatever? It's almost impossible to do in a 3-day weekend or a 2-day weekend class, even if it's a performance-based class. Yes, you may shave some time off. That time shaved is great. But are they going to continue that in their own practice sessions? How does that change with age, the ability of the shooter's injuries, what they wear, their kit, their levels of holsters, how they carry? All these things factor in that people don't look at and discuss. Yeah, at my peak, I was down to about a 1-second drawn shot. Absolutely. Now I'm at a sustainment level. If you can get the gun out in about 1.5 to 2 seconds from concealment and engage and get good, accurate first-round hits, that's what really matters. Doesn't matter if it's a 2.5-second draw and they still get the gun out and are able to do good work. Doesn't matter if it's 3 seconds. What matters is they're able to get the gun out and employ it in a safe fashion and get good, accurate first-round hits. That's what starts putting you ahead of the power curve when things go bad, is getting those first accurate hits.
Yeah. Well, there it is, guys. So you can see, just hang around with Steve, just on here, the knowledge that has been dropped. Take a class with him. SentinelConcepts.com. Links are down below to all the classes. Again, links to the shoot house class that we'll be at. Links to the following class after that in West Virginia. And I know there's only a couple spots left there because I've seen you post it. So there's only a couple spots in there. That's going to be a great class. And there's links to all the classes down below. Again, check that out. I can only imagine what learning is going to take place in person. So, and I've said it before, I just want to move in with Steve and just learn everything. Like just like I'm gonna be the guy that like carries everything for Steve and like has like I have to carry like a flag with Steve's like honor shield, and I just like follow it around with like all these guns and backpacks on, and I just like follow him.
No, it's like a golf caddy. No. I'm like, hey Nick, I think I'm gonna need that Midwest Industries 308. That's about a 450-yard shot in a car. Yeah, the one with the 1-6 on it. Thanks. Yeah. No, nothing like that. God, please, no. God, there's other places that have that. That's the last thing I want. Everything I do is based on the student. It's not me. I've had that weird cultish lifestyle at one point at another place, and it was creepy. This is about you. This is about the student. It's about the knowledge that I can impart to them, and that's all I want them to walk away with is better knowledge, a better skill set, and better abilities. So when that thing does happen in their life and it does go bad, and things happen and life has just gone completely upside down and wrong, I'll get that phone call, a week later, dude, all that stuff worked.
No, let's jump. I'm going to keep. Sorry, I'm keeping this going.
Go ahead.
How's that happen? Have you had students call where like, dear God, thank you for doing this class. It worked.
Yeah, not the God part, thankfully. My job is to, again, better prepare people. And yeah, I've had it. I've had seven shootings now that have involved students.
Wow.
Over the years, that's been the course of my entire career, the span that I've been teaching. It's nowhere near what like Tom Givens or some other people have had, obviously, who've been doing it a lot longer. It has happened. I have gotten that call, and it's been phenomenal to get, and to talk to them about it and to talk through them. And anybody who teaches long enough, either law enforcement, citizens, they're going to get that phone call eventually. It really will. And that's another thing. That comes up. It's a good feeling. It's a great thing to hear that, hey, I remember something that you said right in the middle of everything, and just everything came together right in the world, and that's why I'm calling you. It's a good thing. Myself and Will Petty have had that as well, with some task force guys that we've had in class and some other individual officers that we've trained and have had other training as well. So it's not just us. We're part of a package.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of a recipe. And because people train with a lot of others. But, when they call you and they hit something home and they say, hey, dude, something you really said in class or something you showed me in class really made things easier in that engagement. And that's truthfully, that's awesome. I'd like to have that. Not one person can take credit for the training that everybody gets that is, give them that opportunity to survive an encounter. Okay, survivability is often a byproduct of luck. But you know what? There's times you'd rather be lucky than good, but I'd still rather be good because that's going to increase that factor.
Well, it seems like luck always finds those who are prepared and have worked at it.
Yeah.
It's usually the way it works. So again, guys, I thank everybody out there for watching. And again, if you guys are interested in taking this class, I will be there August 15th and 16th. Or again, I know you have more home defense classes on the schedule. Links are down below. You can click to find all of the the list of all classes is down below. The next two classes, this class, and then the class in West Virginia is down below there. But you guys can check all that out. So, Steve, dude, thanks for coming on. I'm really looking forward to this class. I'm looking to learn even more. And again, try to get better.
It's going to be awesome, dude. We're going to have fun. It'll be a good time. So, looking forward to it.
So again, for everybody out there, again, check out sentinelconcepts.com. He travels around too. I know. Let's just talk about that real quick. I know you're going to be out in Colorado.
We've got obviously the West Virginia class coming up September. September's going to be a really busy one for me. I'm taking a class as well as teaching a couple classes again for EAG. And then after that, October, I've got a couple events going on. I think Arizona. There's one that I'm being hosted in for there for a very large group, and then be back in Ohio at some point doing a couple of low light specific only classes for carbine and handgun, and then California, Colorado. It's going to be nonstop. So yeah, it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be a good run the rest of the year.
Traveling as always, buddy. Traveling as always. But we're going to wrap it up here. But again, check out the links below, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.